Well, hey everybody, welcome back. If you're joining us again, welcome back. If it's your first time, welcome. It's good to see you. It is, hello Lisa, by the way. My name's Kevin. This is Kevin and Lisa Robbins, and it's Monday night, so that means it's
Marriage Monday.
That's right, Marriage Monday. So welcome everyone. If you are joining us from afar, it's great to have you. And if you're joining us from close, meaning not very far away from the Milestone studio, it's good to have you here as well. Marriage Monday, we call this, it's called Amazing Love Marriage Monday, and every Monday that we get here, we like to talk about
Every
marriage.
other Monday, actually, now.
Every other Monday, we like to talk about marriage.
Yes.
Whose marriages do we like to talk about?
Yours and ours, and just marriages in general.
Yeah, marriage in general.
Yes.
So welcome, by the way, if you are with us, welcome to the 11th month of Marriage Monday. 11 months we've been doing this now, yep. Soon will be 12, right? We were just talking about...
We should have a birthday party.
Yeah, we started this when? March?
I don't know, the 23rd or something like that.
March 23rd, 2020?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, boy, here we are, still going strong. You know, something that's really exciting this week for us, I mean, there's always something at Milestone. Literally every day there's something exciting going on. We've got meetings happening. We got big meetings, little meetings, and stuff like that. But we're really excited because this weekend we have a marriage conference.
Yes,
so
very excited.
Hopefully all of you, or at least some of you, please all of you, would join us this Saturday. It's at 4 o'clock this Saturday, and it's
2 o'clock?
So it's 2 o'clock this Saturday. Thank you so much. It's at 2 o'clock this Saturday, and it's called?
It's called Stay Home Marriage, and it goes till 4 o'clock. So you got it partly right, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Stay Home Marriage.
It's going to be really great. And we encourage you to join us, be part of it. We've been planning for some time now. We think it's going to be really great. We're trying to do that balance. We're trying to have things happen at our conference that we are able to have happen on our Amazing Love Marriage Monday nights as well. So that's a reason you should join us. We've got kind of a special guest, a registered family.
Very special, not kind of. She's awesome.
Yeah. Family therapist, marriage and family therapist will be joining us, and she's going to take us into some in-depth learning, which will be really great.
She's a sex therapist as well.
Sex therapist, so there's some good stuff we'll be getting from her there that we think will benefit you.
Yes.
Anybody who's married, it'll be helpful to them as well. And we're going to have some also some guests that are going to help us and keep us smiling in that 2 hours
It's
they're going to be there. So it's very short. You need to go over to milestonechurches.com, please, if you've not registered for this. And we get at this COVID season, what we're learning is that nobody signs up until like just a few days before. So please be aware of this. Our conference registration closes this Wednesday night.
Right.
So if you've not signed up, or if you've got friends who you know would like to come, but they're just kind of like, we'll get around to it, please have them sign up before this Wednesday tonight. Preferably would be good.
Yeah, I think midnight, right? Wednesday night?
Wednesday night at midnight is when and it's $20 a person, a couple, so it's $10 a person, and it's just a couple hours on Saturday. We think that you will really enjoy
And you want to stay till the very end of the conference, because we have 3 giveaways, 3 big bag of marriage swag that we are giving away. Really cool gifts there.
So it's worth
for three couples.
But you got to stay right to the end, and you may get some really great stuff as well.
Yeah.
So we want to say hi to all of you. It's February. What else?
It is February. It is definitely February. It's still COVID season. Yeah. It's our stress levels maybe have been tested a little bit. Our resiliency has been tested. And it's February. On a normal year, February is one of those months that if you don't like winter, it can be kind of a tough month, you know. So so really we recognize that tonight, you know, many of you may be feeling a little bit of the
weary, dreary,
dopey,
sleepy,
blues.
Grumpy.
What are the February blues?
Yeah, that's right.
COVID blues. Very
real thing is happening. Let's before we get totally depressed though, how about this? If you are living in a place where today you shoveled some snow because of where you live, why don't you maybe do a sad emoji face or a medium unimpressed emoji face on there if you're one of those people. If you did not shovel snow today, why don't you put a happy face emoji on for us, just so we can see who's here with us as well. If you're living in a place that did not get snow today, put a happy face emoji there. if you're living in a place that never gets snow, why don't you put a sunshine emoji there for us, just so we can see
Very
sunshine.
nice.
We've not seen, well, actually, yesterday was quite sunny, but so Michael has been shoveling snow.
Yes, Gwyneth has not been shoveling snow.
Look at how Charmaine
Tori's not shoveling.
Yeah, so
Charmaine, oh gosh.
she's got the freezy face there.
That's great.
So look, at least if you were in the Toronto area, and we know not everybody is in the Toronto area watching us, we love you guys across Canada, the United States, really around the world. It's great to have you. If you were in the Toronto area, which is where Lisa and I are and were, or still are, not were, but we still are. Yesterday, here's what I kind of saw on Facebook. Yesterday, the sun was out and the temperatures were above zero.
It was beautiful.
And the snow was melting, and it was just, people were walking everywhere.
It's
true. There's some sad faces. People have been shoveling snow, but there's a couple happy faces. We live in an apartment. They didn't have to shovel snow to Carpios. So this is what I started to see on Facebook. People started putting on Facebook, spring is here. Spring is here. And you know the emotion that comes with that? And then today, is at least where we live, we woke up to snow, lots of snow, and we had to shovel. And I noticed on Facebook the temperature went the other way, the emotion went the other way.
Right.
And so, you know, that's what we want to talk about tonight. We think we've got something really great for you guys. We appreciate those loyal viewers that kind of jump on early before we even got started. Some of you said, hey, we're here to learn, teach us some things. We're going to teach you a couple things. Things you may know. We're going to remind you about that tonight because we feel like you need to hear this. Because we feel like we need to hear it, especially because of February and snow and all that kind of stuff that comes with it.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I want to hear what you think about this quote that I'm going to read to you. It says, attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. So choose wisely. And that was Roy T. Bennett wrote that. So how does that quote hit you? It's all a choice. Happiness is a choice. Your optimism is a choice. Your attitude is a choice.
I think a lot of us wrestle with that, right? Because we feel we're victim of our circumstances. When someone says, look, attitude is a choice, happiness is a choice, I think a lot of us can go, yeah, I don't know. I'm in a situation, I'm married to this person, my job is doing this. And these things
February.
It's February.
It's snowing.
Right? So we love, I mean, that's kind of a, I don't know, that's kind of a Facebook phrase, isn't it? It's a great saying.
Yeah.
And I think on the outset we go, yeah, that is right, but deep down inside we may
struggle with it. Yeah, especially when you're not feeling any of those things, happiness, optimism. Instead, you're feeling bleak and hopeless, maybe a little discouraged, and just not feeling it. So that's tough.
Yep. So here's what we want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about our attitude, and here's where this is coming from. This weekend, we already said this weekend, we've got something called Stay Home Marriage Conference. Please sign up for that. Even those of you who are just joining us right now, make sure you signed up for that. Come back Saturday. You got to join us. It's going to be really great. But in getting ready for the Stay Home Marriage Conference, Lisa and I about, well, we shouldn't even tell you how long ago, but it wasn't that long ago, we said, hey, you know what would be really cool is let's try to write a book and have it ready for the conference. Let's try to write a book that sort of is our experience about what we've learned about marriage for the last year, especially kind of hosting
during the
Amazing Love Marriage Monday during the pandemic. What have we learned? What have we seen? What do we want to teach other people about marriage? So we've gone ahead and we've written a book, and the book is entitled Stay Home Marriage. I know, creative, huh? And that's actually how we came up with the Stay Home Marriage Conference. Our book is entitled Stay Home Marriage. And I don't know if you can see it on the screen, the cover on the screen there. But what we want to encourage you to do, if you'd like to get a copy of Stay Home Marriage, it's just being published now. And in a few days, you'll be able to order your copy. It's not quite ready yet. So what we'd like to ask you, if you're interested in getting a copy of our book, Stay Home Marriage, written by Kevin and Lisa Robbins, we encourage you to go over to our website. We've got a new website. And there's a place to put in your email address. put in your email address and we can stay in touch with you. And hopefully in just a couple days, we'll be able to send an email back to you saying, the book is ready, go to this
Here's
link,
the link.
you can get it there. So go over to our website. The website is called wildmarriage.com. Wildmarriage.com. Don't you like that? That's why we're doing it, because my beard? No, we're much more wild. Not just my beard. But go over to wildmarriage.com. There's a little write-up on the book there and a place to put your email address in, and then we'll send you that in just a couple days where you can pick up this book. And tonight we want to talk a little bit about something that we wrote in the book. It's actually one of the chapters. We're not going to do the whole chapter, but some ideas from the book is what we want to go on. And here is what we talked about, or what we'd like to talk about tonight. Coming off of the quote that Lisa just gave, is attitude a choice? Is happiness a choice? What we want to say is that there are so many things in your life that kind of are, that your marriage is under attack. So let's use a COVID analogy, if you will.
Okay.
Like never before in the history of all of us who are watching have we ever engaged in, what's that called?
Online shopping.
Online shopping. And deliveries come where? Deliveries come...
Tell me you haven't been doing more online shopping than you ever dreamed of doing before.
You ever wanted to do? You ever dreamed of doing? Maybe some of you are like, this is the newest, best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know that since COVID began, the owner of Amazon, we all know who he is, his net worth, not just how much the company, his net worth increased since last March, 97 with a B, $billion, because all of us couldn't go out anywhere with the stay-home orders, so we started shopping. And an interesting thing starts happening. When you start shopping, if you live in a home, maybe in an apartment, I'm not sure, maybe they put your package with the guy, the security downstairs, but if you live in a home, they bring the package right to your front porch. And something is really happening lately, and that is people have started stealing the packages from you're like, isn't that just a great, terrible thing?
Don't give the World Wide Web any more ideas.
Well, I think they've already figured it out. But so there's all these reports of, here's this treasure, this thing that I really need, this precious item that I bought. It gets put on my porch. How convenient is that? And other people come along and they steal it. They're called porch pirates, right? And these porch pirates steal what is really important to us. So we wrote one of our chapters about this problem and how in our life we have things that steal our happiness and our contentment from our marriage.
I mean, in February, it's a hard time emotionally, but in February, in COVID, it's a hard time emotionally. Our well-being is under attack. And in our marriages, there is this nasty intruder that we call pessimism that likes to get into our homes and into our marriages and rob us of the most treasured thing we have, our marriage, and joy between, two people who love each other end up not loving each other and being very pessimistic with each other. So this intruder we talk about, and how important it is to kick that intruder out of your home. We'll not even let it in the first place.
That's right. That's right. So not only is, it's interesting, not only is porch pirates increased since COVID, the theft on the outside of your home has increased, but actually, even in Canada, there was an article that we were reading that we found interesting, is that actually home invasions have increased since the time of COVID. And people are coming in through people's front doors. They're just breaking in and breaking and entering, this type of thing. So we thought, listen, check yourself right now as far as just your marriage, your relationship with one another, and just think, and we can blame it on COVID if you want, but we're kind of under the belief that COVID brings a lot. This pandemic has brought a lot of tough life for us. Yet a lot of the marriages of people that we talk to and we counsel, if you're having pessimism problems right now, you were probably having them before this pandemic started, which means, sadly, you'll probably have them after. Unless we decide we've got to fight against this, right? So,
no more.
let's just think a little bit about, and just examine ourselves for a minute. Has pessimism perhaps started to creep in your marriage? What are some signs
and it comes
of that?
in all kinds of ways. You know, it likes to come in through these little wires, these invisible airways. You know, it comes into our homes, into our devices, onto our screens. It's not just we invite it in; it just comes in. You know, bad news and discouraging news every time you turn on anything. You know, gossip. I mean, gossip is a terrible way for pessimism to creep into your lives. People don't gossip about good things about other people. They don't tell you, hey, all these great things are happening to so-and-so. You know, misery likes company. We tend to like to commiserate with each other when we're not feeling great, and we're looking for the negative things. Our brain almost scans for the negative things. There's all kinds of ways that pessimism likes to creep into our homes.
Yeah. So think to yourself right now, is this, you know, just do a really quick inventory on your marriage, and especially just on yourself, and where are you at as far as pessimism is concerned, as far as something that's, you know, or have you been allowing, you've got this precious part of your marriage and you're allowing something to come along and steal it? Have you allowed something to break right into your home, either over, you know, the internet wires, right? You know, I was just looking at our chat right now, and this is probably the most encouraging thing that's happened on my phone in all week, right? Because there's other places that my phone can go, some of the social media platforms, and they're a whole lot less encouraging.
It's a very encouraging group tonight.
Yeah, and they make me worried, and they make
wonderful.
They make me paranoid, and they make me, you know, unsure, and they make me not believe in people anymore and stuff like that. So here's an interesting thing about our homes. As we talk about homes, we're really talking about our marriage. So an interesting thing about our homes is most people, give me I hope this isn't too personal, but give me some kind of indication if your home has a security system of some kind.
Like one of those doorbell.
Yeah, like if
things.
people have been buying the Ring doorbells now, right? So you've got but they are a camera where you get to see people. You don't have to tell us what kind of security system, but, you know, give us a show of something. If you've got maybe an emoji of some kind, if you've got a security system.
Ours is a dog, very big dog.
Yeah, we should tell people this over the World Wide Web. No. We don't have a security system.
Okay.
But we have a 160-pound fierce dog,
yes,
so
that's
don't
right.
try nothing. But yeah, so we've got our security system is the Holy Spirit. So spiritual.
Fantastic.
Very good. Well done. Everybody else has got no faith. They've just got, yeah. So listen, everybody's got a type of security system.
Does
Appreciate
a sandbag over the door count?
Sandbag.
That's great.
Yeah, so knock out at least one on the way in, right? Okay, so let me get to it. So we do have, a lot of us have these security systems. A lot of us have this Ring thing, this kind of new technology, which you get to see even your phone, who's at your front door and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that in our marriages, we've come up with this. Since we're talking about you being an optimistic marriage, not a pessimistic marriage, you need some kind of security system in your marriage. At the front door of your marriage, you need MPS. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, MPS. Do you want to tell us what MPS is? MPS stands for?
Marriage Protection Services.
You need marriage protection services.
Yes.
And the marriage protection service, and by the way, this is a great service for your marriage. It's free of charge.
No monthly cost.
No monthly fee, no installation fee. No one will show up.
No contracts.
What do the guys say? Can you be home between 9 a.m. and 5 on Thursday?
Oh, dear.
There's none of that stuff, right?
Well, now we can be home between 9 a.m.
You are so right. Don't give me that. That's so good. That's so true. All right. So marriage protection service, MPS. Everybody needs this. And how do you get MPS? Since it's free, how do I get it?
You key in the code optimism.
OPT. Sorry, I forgot how to spell OPTI.
Okay, but beyond that,
we're kind of silly.
You need to change the way you think, and we always like to share great wisdom from the greatest book ever written, the Bible, and I just want to read to you in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, best scripture in the Bible on changing the way you think. Well, I shouldn't say the best. I'm not, I don't know for sure, but
Keep
anyway.
going, sister.
Okay. Finally. It says in Philippians 4, verse 8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Nothing pessimistic in there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It is a choice. Back to that quote. Apparently it is a choice. We can choose to think about wonderful things, and that helps us to change the way we think. So we want to kick out the intruder pessimism and bring in optimism through the marriage protection services of optimism.
Yeah.
Did I do that right?
I think you did that very well. So let's get serious tonight as we've been kind of bopping along here and joking a little bit. As we, even this whole MPS thing, what does that mean exactly? Look, and this is, by the way, not even the first time that we've referenced Philippians.
No,
Philippians chapter 4. It is such a powerful scripture, and frankly, it's one that we take. Can I say take for granted? We don't take as seriously as we should.
It's true.
And I do want you to really think and measure yourself for a minute, because this is an area that can really transform your marriage. Yeah. We don't know where you're at right now. We don't know the stresses that you're under. We don't know the arguments that you may or may not have had in the last little while. We just don't know all that. We know our marriage, and we can only guess that ours is similar to yours. If you can really understand and get serious about bringing in optimism.
Yep.
Optimism. First words out of your mouth. Optimistic words. First thoughts in your head. First communication to each other. And we'll go into it just a little bit more as we talk, but if we could really get serious about changing the way we think, like we're encouraged in the scripture, actually commanded to do. Think about these things. Yes, it's hard to do, but it's so much worth the effort. Have you guys, I'm sure you have heard the stat about the percentage? Maybe, why don't we quiz them? Do you know the stat? What's the percentage of things that we worry about that never happen? The percentage of things, this is kind of a world famous research that's been done. I bet some of you will know this and drop it in the stat. What's the percentage of things that I worry about, that you worry about, and they actually will never happen in our lives? Does anybody know? See what they say about that. The percentage of things that you worry about that will never happen.
Zenobia says 80%.
80.
Cameron says 95.
80. Everybody's really close. 95.
Hope
99.
Says Hope. Wow.
Love Hope.
She is optimistic.
Hope is always filled with faith. That's so awesome. She's a better faithful person than me, I can tell you that.
90,
Everybody's really close. Thank you for sharing that. So the stats in this survey is that 85%, excuse me, sorry, of the things that we worry about, the things we obsess about,
never happen.
Aren't just like not going to happen as bad as we think. Never happen. Never happen. Lisa and I found this quote. We thought it was cute. Michel, this is an older quote. This is several hundred years old. Michel de Montaigne said this: "My life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened." My life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. And you know what's woven into a quote like that is, I worry and obsess about the most terrible things.
Yes.
Turns out nothing ever really happens. So as we talk about optimism, let's give a nod, at least an acknowledgement to this fact right here. The odds are, literally the odds are, and I'm not a big odds guy, I don't fly to Las Vegas and gamble. The odds are that what we're pessimistic about, what we're worried about, what we become obsessive about, the odds are they're not even an issue. They're not even going to happen.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That really is something.
Now, the pessimistic people are thinking what right now? A pessimistic person is thinking, okay, the odds are 85% nothing's going to happen, but what about the 15% that I know?
Never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind.
There you go, but I knew what the pessimist is thinking. I wonder why I knew that.
There is that 15%. Okay, all right.
But we see here that, You know, when Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6, or that quote from, you know, Matthew writes down as he watches Jesus, that great Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus says, what about worry, right?
Do not worry.
Do not.
Yes.
And he makes the appeal, right? And even if you do, why? What's the point?
Yeah.
So you're going to change your life if you're worrying about it? It's really, I mean, it's convicting stuff. And I get most of you have heard this and heard it ad nauseum. And I guess we're just going to have to keep hearing it till we start getting it, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, you know, I think that it is true that there are, you know, different kinds of people. As far as optimism, pessimism go, you know, there's you know, some to one extreme, some to the other, somewhere in the middle. But, you know, don't we love being around optimistic people? I mean, aren't we inspired by optimistic people?
I like optimistic people.
Well, in your marriage, is there one more optimistic? Are you both optimistic, or is one of you a little more optimistic than the other? If you think about it, if you're the pessimistic person, you know, how do you feel when your spouse is being optimistic and you're being pessimistic? Sometimes I think there can be a tension there, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys, I can share. I'll tell you what pessimistic people think about optimistic people. Pessimistic people think about their so if you've got a pessimistic spouse and an optimistic spouse, a pessimistic spouse thinks the optimistic spouse, ooh, this is hard, that's a tongue. The pessimistic spouse thinks the optimistic spouse is a little bit foolish. Doesn't think.
Right.
Like, use your brain. Come on. You know, this I'm so grounded, but actually you're below the ground.
Right.
You're not grounded. You're in the depths of the ground, right? Not healthy at all.
Well, we want to put before you, we all need to be more optimistic. Even the optimistic among us can afford to be even more optimistic in a not flaky way, which is what we'd like to talk about.
And so, yeah, exactly. So when it comes to optimism, I guess our question to you tonight, our call to you tonight, our ask of you tonight is, would you be willing, even if you need to do a restart tonight, would you be willing to put optimism in the highest place in your marriage? And I think we should just let that hang out there. Would you really be willing to do that? Because there's a lot of you, the optimists right now are like, yay, yes, check. But there's some of you who are like, I'd like to, but I'm not going to. Right? I desire it. Perfect world, it would be great. Someday when my work finally gets figured out, then I will.
Right.
Someday when I buy a house, then I will. Someday, you know, the pessimism in us is eventually, and you know,
conditional.
One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that someday, it's actually been proven in brain science that just never works, you know.
Yeah, it's so true. There's a great quote by Suzanne Peligi. You were going to read this quote, so I haven't even read it yet.
Okay, you want me to?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really interesting quote. We'll just read it to you. And this talks about the importance of being optimistic versus being pessimistic and how it has interplay in your marriage. So you ready for this? Listen to this. This is Susan Pelegi, or Palowski.
The last one.
She's got lots of P's in her name, but she's a great author.
We should say it properly, though.
Yeah, I apologize if she ever watches this, but she's a really great author. And she wrote this quote. In the past few years, positive psychology researchers have discovered that thriving couples accentuate the positive in life more than those who stay together unhappily or split up. And I don't imagine any of you are going, that's shocking news, but I think it's important for us to hear this again, the importance that optimism plays. And so she concludes by saying they not only cope well during hardships, those who are optimistic, but they also celebrate the happy moments and work to build more bright points in their lives. So think about your marriage right now and your contribution to your marriage. Are you contributing in the area of placing a high value, putting optimism in its highest place? Are you accentuating the positive? And this is, this is very challenging. And celebrating happy moments, or are you just sort of rumbling through life with your head down? And you can't ever accuse me of not being happy, but it's, I guess, science. It's been proven to really, really help. So if you want to help your marriage, we're saying MPS, your marriage protection Service is optimism.
And I like how Kevin, in our marriage, defers to me often as the more optimistic. In situations where he's pessimistic and I'm optimistic, he defers to me because it's more important to be, though he keeps us very safe with all his cautiousness, you know, but we all know.
Don't trust anything.
I saw someone in the chat said they're a realist, but we know the realists, the cautious ones are wonderful at, you know, thinking through all the negative, you know, possibilities, which is good because it keeps everyone safe, but we know that it can be a slippery slope into pessimism. So it's so good for the person who is that way to defer to the more optimistic person and you know, and to do that in your marriage. But anyway, so that was great. The other parts of the scripture that we were looking at, you talked about optimism being, you know, a high value, a very noble thing. And the rest of the scripture talks about being pure, thinking about pure things, lovely things, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. And we just kind of like to break that down a little bit in how you treat each other and how you know, can see that scripture through the lens of how to treat each other in really optimistic and godly, you know, ways, as the passage talks about. So,
we like this part. We're starting to wrap it up here. So just kind of listen to these points and take maybe one for yourself as you think about this.
And play around, you know, play around with these ideas. Really, like that's that scripture, like Kevin said at the beginning, is so taken for granted. Yeah. And when you really look through each word, and even. Now, I'm a word person. I love looking through words, and I even had fun just even looking for synonyms of all those words: noble, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. And how can I think about those things more in my marriage?
Yeah. So I guess as we begin this part, we say once more again to you, how do you feel? Will you be willing to let, if you're in a marriage where one person is more optimistic than the other, how would you feel about letting the optimistic person take the lead? Take the lead in these areas. Take the lead in optimism, right? And you know, that's a really good marriage-saving direction to go. And so, one of the areas one of the 5 areas that we want to encourage you to have optimism in is in the area of the way you think about your spouse. So we've entitled this one, King and Queen. King and Queen. View and think about your marriage and your relationship with each other in very noble, as a noble idea. Mm-hmm. Think of your spouse as a noble person. Now, I get it, you, right? She has seen me in the most ignoble.
Bad breath in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm talking about mine.
Every possible ignoble way that you. And so how do you keep that fresh perspective that this is a noble person? But it's all got to do with our thinking. So think highly of your marriage. Think highly of your spouse. Here's the big one in the King and Queen. Don't, because you're not allowed to do this to kings and queens.
That's right.
Don't ever disparage the other. Mm-hmm. Don't ever speak or disparage, and frankly, don't even disparage yourself.
That's right, absolutely.
Or the other in your relationship.
Yes.
View them nobly as like a king and queen.
Absolutely.
One way to keep optimism in.
And also when we think about excellent, you know, treat your spouse as an excellent woman or man, and think of yourselves in terms, you know, following along the lines of nobility, most excellent of men and women. I think all people everywhere want to be admired. I mean, maybe we would be embarrassed to say that, but wouldn't you like to be admired for the things that you're good at? And so do that for your spouse, and you know, do that for each other. Think about each other in your admirable qualities. You know, just ignore the not so admirable. Focus on the admirable qualities, the excellent qualities in each other. Give compliments often. There's nothing better than to hear for a spouse to hear their spouse complimenting them to other people. You know, oh, my husband, he's the best at this. You know, he's the best carpenter, or he's the best at, you know, taking care of the garden, or he's the best at, you know, bringing home the bacon, or whatever. He's so good. He's the best dad around with the kids. You know, I think I think most husbands would love that, to feel like their wife thinks he's, that he's the most excellent of men out there. And maybe it's just even in one area, that's okay, like, or two areas or whatever. We've got to look for the admirable and just talk about how excellent we are. Not we are, but they are, with your spouse.
Yep. So I
hope that made
have
sense.
to pause.
I hope that made sense.
Because I know human nature. Right now, some of us are thinking, yeah, but I don't want to give them a big head. Yeah, but
oh, do give them a big
like
head.
This. So you're wondering,
yes.
Really, what's the scriptural reason for me to do this? Let's take you back to Philippians chapter 4 again, right? This is all where this is coming from. The nobility piece, that they're excellent, right? What does it say? Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is anything's excellent or praiseworthy, you think about that stuff.
Yes, yes.
And so, like, for some of us, it's like, man, I don't know if I can think this way about my spouse because they're getting away with so much. Come on.
No, and
it's not good for your marriage to go that way.
And if you're having problems theologically, just remember we're all image bearers of the most perfect one, and there's something good in all of us that can be admired. So look for it, find it, and lift it up.
I like that, image bearers. Remember that. There's another one that we've got, and that is, and we've got some great friends who really model this for us as well. But this is the third one. So the first one is what? Treat each other nobly, like kings and queens. The second one,
most
the
excellent of men and women.
The third one is this: laugh at the days to come. Laugh at the days to come.
Yes.
This is that kind of optimism that is just forward thinking and releasing this attitude of I should have, I would have, I could have, all that sort of regret talk.
No,
right?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Maybe you should have. Maybe you could have. Maybe you would have.
Maybe you still can.
And maybe it's too late. Like, it's just, honestly, it has its place, excuse me for the stutter, it has its place, but when you think about how much pessimism comes with it and the toxicity that comes with that pessimism, I think you got to ask the question, yeah, it has its place, but is it worth it? Is it worth it to have that in your life? So laughing at the days to come, even in those difficult times, and boy, I'm telling you, we've got so many friends that we could just reference as examples like this that model that for us, and we try to do our best with that as well.
And fourthly, build them up. Build your spouse up. Build yourself up. Build each other up. This is time to be optimistic and not tear each other down, especially in our minds, because we're talking about thinking about such things. And in our minds, we can be dangerous when we think about our spouse. So when we were thinking about building our spouse up, we were thinking especially in the area of not judging them. So even in your mind, not judging them, not making negative assumptions. Wow. When something's wrong, just giving a positive assumption, be optimistic about your spouse's motivation, and don't always go to the dark places. Oh, they don't love me. Oh, they just never this, or they never that, or they're being selfish, or it really is sad that as we get, married for many more years. Sorry, I'm stumbling too. It's February. Vitamin D deficiency. As we
I wish it was that simple.
As we've been married longer, we don't feel curious anymore to wonder, what is my spouse actually thinking? We already know. In our mind, we've got it all figured out, and we can make negative assumptions. So don't do that. Build up, positive assumptions in your mind. Give them the benefit of the doubt, and think nobly, of them. And truthfully, because often what we're thinking is not true if we found out.
Yep. We've got one last one. This one's a tough one, okay? But if you want to insert optimism into your relationship more than is presently what's happening, this is a real tough one. But you've got to decide that together, and make this agreement, this pact, that you will have no fear of bad news, that you won't be afraid of bad news. Now, for a while, I've heard of this phrase, no fear of bad news, for years in my life. And I always put something into it that never actually belonged there. I always thought if someday I ever reach the point where I don't have fear of bad news, that means no bad news will ever come. It doesn't make any sense. The presupposition here is that bad news is going to come. The important part of being an optimistic person and not becoming pessimistic is just not having fear of that bad. So not allowing worry, that goes back to this, this high percentage of things that we obsess and worry about. Identifying what your worries are, or identifying even what is frightening. Like, we've got some friends that we're praying for every single day who've been in and out of the hospital with their child, and all very dear to all of us. This is a fearful and painful situation. And yet this brother, as he consistently communicates to me, is just an example of optimism. And the bad news comes, but you just don't get that feeling that fear is a part of it.
It's not consuming.
So it's identifying the worry, yes, but through the worry and the problem, it's focusing on what's true and what's verifiable, and it's not hanging on to all the what ifs, but just hanging on to just the reality of the situation.
Letting go of control too, really, because we think with our worry we're controlling what's coming at us when we have no control.
Yeah, it's the greatest lie in life, right? That you're actually controlling. So there is this fear of bad news that many of us, look, bad news is going to come here and there.
Yeah.
But the days in between, there needs to be optimism there, right, in your marriage.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we're bringing this to you. That's our little marriage, or MPS?
Marriage Protection Service. Yes, optimism.
And the code is optimism.
Yes,
so
yes.
whether or not you have a security system for your home, at least have one for your marriage. And by the way, if you don't have a security system for your home and it's your dog cannot help your marriage as far as optimism is. I mean, I know you think your dog's cute and it kind of helps your marriage.
Good therapy.
It's good therapy. But it's you guys, right, who make optimism a prime, noble, high priority in your life. We think that's some good news. So we stole that from one of the chapters of our book called Stay Home Marriage, which is coming out this week. It'll be certainly out by the time we have our Stay Home Marriage Conference this Saturday. And like we said, if you want a copy of that, where do they go? If they want to put their name in, so we can tell them when in the next few days when they can get it. Website.
Wildmarriage.com.
Yep. Go over to wildmarriage.com, put your email address in there. You say, are you going to spam me? Well, it's Kevin and Lisa. I mean, probably. We're going to tell you about the book and not really spam you, and you can unfollow and all that kind of stuff. But we just want to make sure we stay in touch with you about things like other conferences that are coming up or other things that we're kind of doing as we get excited about marriage, ours and yours.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell them?
I just think it's so good to have themes, and I think this is a good time of year to think about optimism and just think about everything through the lens of, when you're in a situation, are we being optimistic right now? Am I talking optimistically right now? Is this bringing optimism into our life or stealing it or not? And sometimes when we keep things simple, it just gives us something to latch on to, and we can have, changes can happen more quickly in a positive direction, I think, when, so that's just what we wanted to leave you with tonight in the middle of, almost the end of February, actually.
End of February. So as you get off this call and you trundle back to another part of your house and somebody says, hey, what was that all about? You just say, well, it was a married thing and it was about optimism. So all you're going to see from me from now on is optimism.
That's right.
You take that pledge, then Marriage Monday was successful again. So as always, we want to thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We are going to be back. Lisa, when are we going to be back?
We're going to be back in 2 weeks on March 8th.
March 8th we'll be back. But before that, we'll be here this Saturday and want to encourage you to be a part of it.
Yes.
As always, we want to thank Chris, our eternal tech guy that's always with us. We want to thank our eternal Lord who's always with us even more than Chris. But we are so thankful for Chris and his talents. We're thankful that all of you always join us. You guys are amazing. It's quite humbling. To have all of you, and so many of you we know and we love, and there's a bunch of you that we don't know, but can we say we love them? We appreciate you, and we'd love to get to know you even more. And we
post-COVID, maybe we'll meet you.
We hope that we'll see you this Saturday at our Stay Home Marriage Conference. It starts at 2 o'clock. If you are registered, you will get an email from us for the private link that only you can join us, join up and join us. It's going to be prizes. It's going to be stuff.
It's good to remind everyone it's on YouTube, but you have to have the link to get there. So
that's right.
And you only have till midnight Wednesday night. And so tonight, start sharing that with all your friends.
Share it with all your friends. What a busy week. We've had Marriage Monday. It's now over. We got marriage things,
Yes.
stay home marriage this Saturday. We
It's
wrote
gonna be
a
a
book.
lot of fun.
It's a crazy week. And we'll see you, hopefully,
Yes,
Saturday.
thanks for joining us tonight. Have a good night, everyone.
Be optimistic.
Yes.
Bye-bye.